Hi all, I'm Julia and I'm here to discuss one of the strategies that led to my perfect GMAT score. Today's topic is comparisons in the context of verbal questions. Determining if a comparison is valid or not can be a bit tricky, so I'm going to share some of my general tips to help you rule out invalid comparisons without eliminating good answers simply because a comparison is involved. In verbal questions, a comparison is valid only when the compared entities share relevant and justified similarities. Here's how to tell when a comparison affects an argument and when it's too flawed to do so. A comparison is useful when the two things being compared are truly relevant to each other, there is a clear, logical connection between them, and the comparison does not assume equality where significant differences exist. For example, the public library extended its hours last year, and visitor numbers increased significantly. Therefore, extending hours at the university library should also increase its usage. This works because both are libraries that serve pretty broad communities, which makes the comparison reasonable. A comparison is not useful when the two things being compared are too different. The comparison assumes that what works in one case will always work in another, or there are key missing factors that make the comparison unreliable. For instance, a coffee shop that stayed open later saw a significant increase in customers, so a library extending its hours should also see an increase. This comparison doesn't work because a coffee shop and a library serve different purposes. People visit coffee shops for food and socialization and chit-chat, and library visits are more likely to be solo, quiet, snack-free affairs. So what worked at a coffee shop when it increased its hours, there's not much reason to think that would carry over to a library. Here are some traps to watch out for when dealing with comparisons. False analogies, comparing two things that are not similar in relevant ways. So Finland's education system consistently ranks highest in the world, so adopting Finnish teaching methods will improve American schools. Education tends to be a reflection of the culture's values and goals, so different cultures, student populations, and resources make this comparison weak. Overgeneralization, assuming one instance applies broadly. So one high school improved test scores by banning phones, so banning phones in all schools will improve test scores. There are other factors that could have been at play in this single example school, like superior teaching quality, curriculum, or student demographics, so this comparison is a bit of a stretch. And ignoring key differences, overlooking unique factors between compared entities. For instance, raising the minimum wage improved employment rates in City A, so it will have the same effect in City B. These cities could have different economies, industries, and job markets that could lead to different outcomes. It could even be that City A raised its minimum wage to match that of City B, so City B has already seen the benefits that City A experienced and might not see them at the same rate with another increase. There are too many factors at play, so this is potentially a weak comparison. It can be helpful to ask yourself some questions. Are the compared things functionally similar in the context of the argument? Are key factors accounted for? And is the comparison logically sound? These comparison skills will come up frequently in reading comp passages, as well as a few different types of critical reasoning questions. Arguments often use comparisons between groups, time periods, or situations. Identifying whether those comparisons are valid or flawed can help us spot strengths or weaknesses in arguments. For example, Xenotech's profits increased after adopting a remote work policy, so Cregan should implement the same policy to improve profits. What if an answer choice was Xenotech is a multinational tech company with 10,000 employees and Cregan's is a local bar with 7 employees? This would weaken the argument by showing that the two businesses being compared are very different, and it's quite likely that ability to go remote and the outcomes from switching their workforce to remote would not be the same. Comparisons can also be a cornerstone of evaluate the argument questions, as in this mini example. Melville saw an 18% crime reduction after increasing street lighting. Therefore, installing more streetlights is an effective way to reduce crime rates in Knowlton. What if the answer was, do the two cities have similar crime patterns and causes? That would be very useful to know, because if they do, then the solution is more likely to have a similar effect. If, however, crime in Melville is mostly breaking into cars parked on the street, and crime in Knowlton is mostly from insider trading, then the streetlights probably won't be as effective in Knowlton. Basically, the answer to this question could help us determine if the comparison is valid or not, and that's what makes it an effective answer. Mastering comparisons will help you spot flaws more quickly, eliminate wrong answers efficiently, and choose the best responses more often, which are, of course, all key for GMAT success. Keep up your studying, and I will see you next time. Ta!